Welcome back to Happy Health Hour, everybody. I am Nutesh Desanj, but who the real people are here? Dr. M is here, Dr. P is here, and Nurse Linda is back. She was okay. There wasn't anything to worry about. She was on a ship. It was a cruise with her husband. There was a lot of misinformation flying around.
Oh, that's
but
what
she
she
was
says.
absolutely okay. Sorry, Dr. P?
She says she was on a ship. We know where she was. She was arguing with me, so she was put in a...
Well, I can argue with you from anywhere. I don't have to be here to do that.
She was not allowed to speak for 3 weeks.
Gang, I've got to tell you something before we start. Gang, I've got to tell you, we have now got 5,000 subscribers and 300,000 views. 300,000. Brilliant job, guys. Amazing job. Well done. Linda, this has been in your absence. Imagine if you'd been here, we would probably be at 1 million views and 10,000 subscribers. So don't take any time off, okay?
It's not like I didn't try, you know. It's not like I
Send her for another vacation and our numbers will climb even further.
Yes, I'm ready to go. I could have gone to Alaska.
Okay. Well, all right, gang. So let's get on with the show because there's danger. There's danger. You're the best, Linda. There's danger that this show could descend into well, quite frankly, too much comedy and theatrics. So let's get back on the script. This week we are talking about my favorite subject, actually. We are talking about gut health. We're going to talk about two things, actually. We're going to talk about gut health 101, the microbiome and immune impact. And we're going to talk about the gut-brain connection, the control of mood and behavior. Let us kick off with gut health 101. Nurse Linda, because you've been off for 3 weeks, just vacationing, okay? Not, while Dr. M and Dr. P have been really carrying you, you've been vacationing. So why don't we kick this off with you? Talk us through, what we're born with in terms of the gut microbiome, the immune system at birth. Start there. Why don't you start there, and then we can get Dr. P and Dr. M to elaborate how things change or might change as we get older.
All right. Well, I'm going to start by saying, there's so much truth in you are what you eat. You are exactly what you eat. But when you're first born, everything is God willing that there's no, anomalies or genetic issues. You're born squeaky clean. And then you get mom. If mom will breastfeed you, you'll get mom's colostrum, which then gives you everything you need, in the very, very beginning, all of the immunities and stuff like that. So you're born set up to succeed. And then, as we introduce different things into our bodies, so yes, if a mom will breastfeed the baby and the mother is eating properly, because that has to happen too, then what the baby's getting and all that baby is getting in the first few months of life is mother's milk. And unless mom is drinking or doing drugs, they're getting what they need. And they're born with, I don't even know what the number is. It's a huge, huge number and is in many, 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 many zeros past the decimal point in the other direction. Certain flora, bacteria and fungus all live in our gut. And and I don't know how much you know about the anatomy of the gut itself, the cilia, how it works, the muscular, the whole 9 yards. But at the very, 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 very simplest level, all of these microorganisms are what allow us to break down what we eat and to absorb the nutrients from what we eat into our bodies. Without them, nothing happens. You could have you could have the most perfectly created 22-foot tube from your mouth to your anus. Could be perfect. Without those living organisms, nothing happens.
Okay, so we're born with that. I can see Dr. M because this is a major expertise for her. So let's hand over to Dr. M to continue that. Um, so what happens? What happens in good ways and bad ways to the gut biome after we're born, after the
Well,
first few years?
thank you, both of you, Linda. What happens is, what came first? Did the microbe come before the human? Vice versa.
Yes.
I think we know that the former is more likely. So when we are born, we come through a birth canal. So I just want to add to what Linda said. You're coming through a once sterile, so-called sterile environment, which you are contained in the womb, which is the uterine cavity. Then you're going to pass through the cervix into an area that's not quite sterile. It's called the vagina, the vaginal vault. And in that vaginal vault, there's a lot of bacteria. What science has shown they've elucidated that there is some bacteria that are in the womb that the fetus is subject to or will experience, and then carried further as expulsion happens through the womb into the vagina so that birth can happen. We have a tremendous amount of mother's bacterial microbiome, bacterial and or there are viruses, there are fungi, as was mentioned, there are different life forms. It's not only bacteria, but we generally call it the microbiome, and we think of it as only bacteria. So that's that baby's coming through and is going to pick up and inhale and ingest that as it's passing through the canal, the birth canal. So it's picking up mom's microbiome. That's going to be its initiation into the world. And that microbiome is going to teach that baby's immune system how to work. So it's really they have the little teachers, those little buggeroos. They're the teachers. They show the innate immune system how to work, which is what we're born with, and gets the activation of these little cells that we have in our immune system going. Those bacteria are introduced. The cells of the immune system begin to recognize the bacteria, take them in. They go and the baby's ingesting this stuff, if not inhaling it as well. And that clears through various mucus suctionings and coughings and crying. So there's a removal of things as there is the first breath. So amazing stuff happens in the first few moments of life. Your immune system is beginning right there with the help of mom and her bacterial colonies, all of her bacteria and viruses and fungi, all that stuff that's come into the baby. Now the baby's ready, and then goes then to the breast and then gets the colostrum, as Linda said, and that plus the mother's skin of skin of the breast, the mother's embrace. The baby's got the mix of the mother's vaginal secretions and her skin, arms, breast, all that. She's kissing the baby. It's coming from her mouth. So there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of bacterial and stuff. So people think of bacteria as like dirty things, but it's just the beginning of the story. So it's a wonderful array and interplay of mother's teaching baby. I mean, mother's teaching baby when baby is in fetal form in intrauterine and teaching in a different sense. But now it's getting into the, here you are, and this separation from mother's womb and to the outside. Now we're going to teach your immune system how to work, strengthen your immune system, take that very important beginning milk. It has in it antibodies, and it has in it all those little things that are going to populate the baby's gut. So there's going to be a whole developmental process, the interplay of antibodies to help protect the baby as she comes out, and at the same time give you good bacteria, which include an array of bacteria and other organisms that help bring this little creature into the world with very little to worry about. I mean, unless there was some major thing that happened to the baby, that kid's protected. So we begin there.
Okay. So, Dr. P, we've got this baby that is well stocked with bacteria, with all the things that need to give him a great immune system. And let's say this baby grows up into an adult, and for the rest of its life, it has a great microbiome, as Dr. M described it. That baby's that now adult is going to live a good life. Is that what we're saying? Just because of the microbiome? If it retains it? Assume that it retains it.
Yeah. So remember, we think of ourselves as this beautiful, greatest gift of God since sliced bread. And it's not, it's only partially true. We try to wash everything in our body with these antibacterial soaps. We want no molecules, nothing that could be contaminated, because bacteria are contaminated. That's a fallacy created by modern bacteriology, virology, parasitology. You may even say that there are more bacteria and these organisms in this so-called corpus, this body, than our own cells. So I think there are probably, and you can conduct different estimates. One I read recently was 3 trillion cells is what we have in our body. And I think we have 5 to 6 trillion bacteria in our body. So the bacteria have a legal claim, more than that. Dr. Scanziano.
Much more.
Yeah, much more. That's why I don't even try to give a number, because I don't know those numbers.
100 trillion organisms, non-human, and we're talking about 30-ish trillion human.
Okay, so I was not too far. I was in trillions. No. I was in the ballpark.
Well, the principle.
All right, let me. So the bacteria, the organisms have a legal claim to stating that this is their body, and we are just there as a platform on which they can thrive.
Good way to say it.
It's completely legitimate. But think of this whole system as an ecosystem. Even our cells, there is a theory that the mitochondria of our cells are actually bacteria. Originally, when we were the primordial soup and things were forming, and I don't want to go into too much of evolution, but these are bacteria, and these we get from the mother. And while we're in the womb, not only mother gives us all these things to survive and thrive, we also give back our cells back to the mother, and which creates an ecosystem. This ecosystem continues. Now we are part of a bigger ecosystem, a bigger whole. WHOLE. Don't ask me for the Greek roots of that. And this ecosystem is what we are inheriting. When we miss that we are part of something bigger, and we are an intimate part of it, not just a superficial part of it, then we make errors. And this whole hand washing, when we were growing up, we used to play in dirt. We used to play in soil. Well, guess what? The parasites and all that we ingest, those are important for our immune system to test itself. And the studies have shown that if you have been infested, if you have had experience with these parasites, you will have less allergies later in your life.
No.
If you don't have these bacteria, you can have life-threatening diseases, and you can lose the whole lining of your intestines can get broken, because these bacterial friends these allies are not there to protect you. If these bacteria are not there, certain critical elements.
So, Dr. P, before you go on to that, I will come on to that. Before you go on to that, the question really is, so I'm an adult. I was given all these bacteria at birth. I've done everything to retain them. I'm going to live a long, happy life.
Yes, you should.
Yeah,
It
your
should.
brain should be
There
sharp
fewer
too.
diseases.
You take good care of your bacteria, and bacteria are everywhere in your whole system. This platform that we have, there are bacteria to keep you going, and you have to make
Why?
sure they are successful.
Why am I and our viewers not told this? You know, when we're younger, why are we not? Why are we told? Why are we being given, burgers and chips? Why are we? What's going on? If this is so critical, what has happened? Was
We
this information only now come to light?
This was known for thousands of years to humanity, and then we became too smart. We were so smart that we tried to undermine our own existence, and then we tried to relearn things which will destroy ourselves. And then we realized, oh, sorry, we didn't know better. We'd made mistakes, and so our healthcare system, our knowledge has been barbaric. Let's just accept it. And we have done a lot of things to our patients that are criminal, if I may say so. And corruption is there in our system. We need to recognize it. And once we have the wisdom, we go back to our wisdom, and which is there since the birth of humanity. Our ancestors knew much more than we do now in some ways. They didn't know technology, but they had a sense, they had a connection. And we need to come back to that connection we have with not only with the universe, but with ourselves, because we are the home of so many things we don't even realize. And that ego comes in the front and I am everything. No, you are part of something much bigger, much more beautiful system. I hope that answers your question somewhat.
It does, but it's given me a lot more questions. Nurse Linda had her hand up and Dr. Emma's got a hand up as well. But let's get to Nurse Linda first. Nurse Linda, whatever you wanted to say, please say. But also, I want to know, what are the things that destroy the gut, this fantastic I don't want to call it bacteria anymore. I'm going to call it the microbiome. What are the things that destroy the microbiome?
Well, first of all, I wanted to ask your question about, what happened? Well, what happened? A lot happened. Technology happened. We got lazy. We don't grow our own food. We don't walk in the soil with bare feet. We don't fast food. Whatever it is, we got lazy and stupid. How can I tell you? Well, maybe the gut has something to do with it, because that's a discussion for another time. The brain gut thing. But you asked what happened, and that's what happened. Because yes, we have had the knowledge for thousands of years.
So it just wasn't passed to us. Okay, but now fast forward. What are the things that destroy or degrade or erode this healthy microbiome, this gut health? What are the things?
Take us through. From me or from Dr. M?
No, we go to you, then we go to Dr. M for some additional complexity.
All right. So what destroys them is eating the wrong stuff, doing the wrong things. I mean, remember, as Dr. P said, we are part of a much, much larger whole. And it's something as simple as overwashing your hands, or everybody thought, oh no, you got to be sterile, you got to be clean, you got to be this, you get rid of all of the stuff that's living on your skin, you're going to get sick. You get rid of the knowledge. There's knowledge, and then there's knowledge, and sometimes too much. Some knowledge is too much. It's the wrong kind of knowledge, and I think, to put it simply, technology is not the best thing for our microbiome. It's not the best thing for our brains. It's not the best thing for any of us. There's positive, but there's negative. My bubby, my mom, years ago said that in every situation, and she was so wise, and Dr. P and Dr. M knew her, so they know this is true. She said that in every situation, there is a fortunately and an unfortunately. Every situation. So how you live, where you live, how you wash, what you eat, what you breathe, the E&M that you live with, the microwave or not the microwave, All of it. All of it. The carbon in the air, the plastics in our body, all of it.
Let me get Dr. M to elaborate on this. Is where I'm going to go with you, Dr. M, on this. Okay, talk about, if you would, and go deep with the chemistry if you want to, please, because our viewers are loving it. What drugs? What do drugs do to the healthy microbiome? And then I'll come to Dr. P as well in a moment. What do prescription drugs do to the gut?
Okay.
And the bile.
There's a lot to be said here, but to get right to one of the major disruptors of the gut, we call them antibiotics. So antibiosis is something that destroys both good and not desirable organisms. And why have they become undesirable in the body? The body becomes disrupted by its environment around it and what we take into it, and then we have sickness, illness, disease, infection. If we keep our immune defenses up by using a pro-bacteria or probiotic type of diet, or that which is oriented to keep the gut, which happens to be the heart of our immune system. The gut is where most of your immune system is residing. And if you mess it up with ultra-processed foods, EMFs, plastics, droppings from the sky, air pollution, everything around you that can will disrupt the gut, because the gut sees everything. It's the second brain. It sees everything, and then it becomes the determiner of what happens. The antibiosis that's used is a Band-Aid, and it not only is a Band-Aid, but it's a killer on the gut. So it's doing two things, twofold. We're trying to kill off things, and we're also killing off things that shouldn't be killed off. So the whole idea of killing bactericidal, or anti, meaning against the biotics, against life, this is not the approach that we should be taking. But because people do things not so well, they turn into catastrophes, and then you need a catastrophic solution. That's what an antibiotic is. It's that solution for the moment, but it doesn't change unless the person changes. It doesn't change what's going to happen next after you've taken away the fever and the bad bacteria. The person goes back to what they're normally doing, and guess what? Comes back again. Not only back, but it comes back with a vengeance, because now the immune system has been hurt. Once you start hurting the immune system with antibiosis, not only antibiotics, now we'll get into other things. You have antidepressants, you've got acid-reducing agents, which are some of the worst. You knock out the gut's ability to help you, it is another crime, as Dr. P said. You start knocking out your mechanisms of digestibility so that you can make food into energy, you're messing it up with a acid-reducing medicine, and there are many. And people stay on them, and nobody takes them off unless they know to do that. And they're so hard to come off because they're so suppressive, and the person is, oh, I need it again. It's like you put so much pressure down on the acid that you take it away and you suddenly stop it. Whoa, no, the acid comes back. That's not the approach. You just need to restructure your diet. And I take people off of these drugs carefully because they're so hard, as are the antibiotics, as are the antidepressants. Your body makes that serotonin that you need in the gut. And between the gut and the brain, there's a connection, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But these are hard drugs. And when you take non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, you mess things up as well. Your ibuprofens and all those things. If you're taking other types of drugs that are altering your mood, or altering your platelets, or altering some other function in the body, a gut function, in terms of bile, or in terms of changing your bowel habits, you really mess things up. So we need to really restructure the whole system here. But the drug scene is one that is inducing a lot of gut dysbiosis. We call it dysbiosis, meaning the gut is dis means altered or not functioning well, like dysentery.
Broken.
Dysentery also means like the gut is not functioning well, loose stool.
Yeah.
Dysbiosis, it means the microbiome has been thrown off,
Disorganized.
right? So when you disrupt, you can't have a healthy immune system which opens you up to everything. And one big problem is autoimmune disease. Autoimmune disease, which we're seeing a huge rise in. And thanks to all of the disruptors, including our drugs, including our vaccines, including our EMFs and our microwaves, which have the EMFs, we're doing a disaster, and we're not doing any justice to our gut. And that means our whole body.
Thank you, Dr. M. Dr. P, you had your hand up patiently for some time. What did you want to add?
Well, I'll keep it succinct because really Nurse Linda and Dr. M have explained it beautifully. But we need to remember the fundamental problem is what is called reductionistic thinking. We try to think almost like Descartes and Newton to break our system into kind of a mechanical clockwork-like system which works perfectly on its own. Well, it doesn't. There is a considerable interaction without which we would not survive. All life is and a deep interaction with the whole universe. And we when we forget that, we hurt not only the others but ourselves. So we have to appreciate it that our whole body is a universe in itself with so many interacting parts. And we need to appreciate that even the drugs that are becoming very popular nowadays that slow down your intestines, the GLP-1s. We are, I think Dr. M sent me this write-up recently that 4,000 lawsuits have been filed because permanent damage has been done to the intestines and the gallbladders of these patients who have taken GLP-1 to lose weight. And so we've become, again, as Nurse Linda said, we become lazy, complacent. Okay, let me eat whatever I feel like. Let me be lazy, but let me take a shot once a week and I'll be fine. It doesn't work that way. So basically, I just wanted to add that it's our thought process that needs to open up, and we need to start appreciating life in its fullness.
Dr. P, thank you. I'll just end this segment by sharing with you something that I read this week, maybe even yesterday, perhaps the day before, that the UK and the USA are the two countries where over the past decade, the number of years of healthy living has declined by 2 years.
And if I may add, not only are we abusing antibiotics in our own system, we're abusing them across the board. We use them not only for humans, we are using them for animals, and we are using them inappropriately. People who have viral infections, they get antibiotics. People who have things who have nothing to do with infections, they take antibiotics. We are using these soaps that are full of antibacterials. Guess where they're going? They're going into our water supply and killing important bacteria. So we need to be smarter and up our game, because we are really injuring the entire ecosystem, not only in our bodies, but of our earth. And that is hurting us and will hurt us.
Because that is a lot, right? In a decade, the health number of healthy years it goes down by 2 years.
I think it's insane. More. And I would say that's an underestimation. Right. Yeah, we're much. Right. There are many more.
We are seeing conditions that I did not see 30 years ago. I'm seeing them, many more of those conditions. Atrial fibrillation, pulmonary embolism. Heart is becoming, irregularity of the heart is much more common nowadays.
Right.
Blood clots in the heart, much more common now. We didn't see them. Macular
And again,
degeneration.
are you saying, Dr. P, and again, are you saying you're relating at least a portion of this to the microbiome?
Of course.
So remember,
Yeah.
all these are related. We are hurting our cells, our cellular functionality, and I guarantee you this connectivity will show us and how we have connections. And I'll tell you, the gut is the source in the ancient Indian system of medicine and Chinese system of medicine. The understanding is that your blood is made in your gut. If your gut is unhealthy, you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, he will look at your tongue. He doesn't care about anything else. If your tongue, which is the lining, connects to the lining of the intestines, if that is not healthy, you are it. He's going to cleanse you inside out. And that is so important for us to understand that the gut health was considered the core of health in the ancient system, and there is some wisdom to it. Sorry, I'll give it back to you.
So let's do this. Why don't I think we're going to cover this so many times. I think we're going to do show after show on the microbiome, because it's obviously something that all our viewers want to hear about, and they want to learn more. But let's turn our attention now in these next 20 minutes to the gut-brain connection. I get what you're saying about that the gut is the source of many of our diseases, because it can inflame us and therefore degrade the immune system. But let's now turn to the gut-brain connection. Dr. M, why don't we start with you? Is there really a connection? Can you explain the connection? What is the real connection between the gut and the brain?